To say space is harsh is, well, an understatement. It's filled with creepy things. What about gamma ray bursts that could cancel your existence, and mine too, on our planet tomorrow? Or mysterious, eerie, empty supervoids that are up to no good either? Which one scares you the most? Well, let's watch and pick, huh? And the first scary thing on our list is space junk. Look up there at the night sky. You might think you see stars and a few satellites, but there's something else up there, a mess of space junk, and it's growing. Earth's orbit is our highest trash dump. Old satellites that don't work anymore, empty rocket parts, and thousands of broken pieces are all flying around the planet. And they're moving insanely fast, so fast that even a tiny fragment can hit with the force of an explosion. Right now, we're tracking over 30,000 objects in orbit, and that's just the big stuff. There are millions more pieces too small to see, but still dangerous. In space, even something the size of a marble can cause serious damage. Still, extreme planets are even spookier. In our own neighborhood, some planets are kind of overwhelming. Mercury can reach about 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Venus is even hotter at 860 degrees, thanks to its thick, heat-trapping atmosphere. For reference, the Sun's surface is around 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But that's nothing compared to Kelt 9b, the hottest planet ever found. Its temperature soars to roughly 7,800 degrees. That's hot enough to rip atoms apart. Under conditions like that, Mercury would vaporize into glowing plasma. At the opposite end is a planet nicknamed Thoth. It's about 5.5 times Earth's mass and sits at around minus 370 degrees, just barely above absolute zero. Even though it orbits a star, that star is a dim red dwarf, so the planet gets almost no heat. Size-wise, Jupiter dominates our solar system. This gas giant outweighs all the other planets combined. But this planet, I'll let you read its name, is on another level. It's about 28 times Jupiter's mass, a big boy. It's so huge that scientists think it might actually be a brown dwarf, a failed star that almost ignited nuclear fusion. And then there's Venus, our solar system's climate nightmare. It's similar in size to Earth, but wrapped in crushing air that's nearly 1,000 times denser than ours. Winds there race at over 220 miles per hour. Sulfuric acid rains from the clouds, and the surface pressure would flatten you instantly. Sounds terrifying, but only until you hear about supernovae. A supernova is the most powerful explosion we've ever witnessed. It's what happens when a star ends its life in a massive, blinding blast that can briefly outshine an entire galaxy. So, what causes it? One type of supernova happens when a very large star, at least 5 times heavier than our Sun, runs out of fuel. While it's alive, the star stays stable because two forces are fighting against each other: gravity pulling inward and energy from nuclear reactions pushing outward. But once the fuel is gone, that outward pressure disappears. Gravity instantly takes over, and the star collapses in on itself in seconds. The collapse creates huge shock waves that blast the outer layers of the star into space. It's rather intense. But not as intense as colliding galaxies. You see, galaxies are bound by gravity and are constantly moving. That's why collisions are common, especially between large galaxies and their smaller companions. When a small galaxy drifts too close, the larger one's gravity ruthlessly pulls it apart, robbing it of its stars and gas and absorbing them completely. When galaxies of similar size collide, the outcome is even more destructive. Their spiral structures are torn apart, and neither galaxy keeps its original shape. Well, this sounds impressive, even by universal standards. And still, gamma-ray bursts are even more menacing. Those are the most powerful explosions in the universe. In just a fraction of a second, a menacing star many times heavier than our Sun collapses into a black hole. As it does, the star's outer layers are ripped away, and two narrow beams of energy blast out in opposite directions. These beams are so bright, we can detect them from billions of light-years away. In that minuscule instant, a gamma-ray burst releases more energy than the Sun will produce over its entire lifetime. It's not just a supernova, it's a supernova. Now, gamma-ray bursts are rare, but they're incredibly dangerous. Astronomers estimate their destructive effects could stretch across thousands of light-years. If one were to occur within about 5,000 to 8,000 light-years of Earth, the consequences would be catastrophic. One side of the planet would get flooded with deadly radiation. The ozone layer would be badly damaged or completely destroyed, leaving life exposed to intense radiation from space. The result would be a mass extinction, on the same scale as the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. Now we're approaching something even scarier, something most of us are too afraid to imagine. I mean, other civilizations. What if they find us? There's something called the dark forest idea. Imagine the universe as a pitch-black forest. Everyone's hiding. If one civilization makes noise, another, far more advanced, might wipe it out instantly, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. In a place this big, staying silent might be the safest move. Another alarming idea: what if a super-advanced society wouldn't even see us as people? We'd be more like trees in a forest or fish in the ocean. Planets could just be raw materials, and life could be perceived as just a byproduct. There might even be civilizations so advanced they could use the energy of an entire star or even a whole galaxy. At that level, erasing a planet like Earth wouldn't take effort. Thinking about it is a little unsettling. Even more unsettling is considering the existence of supervoids. Those are some of the most mind-boggling structures in the universe. Imagine a patch of space so empty it's missing roughly 10,000 galaxies. It's cold, vast, and almost completely devoid of matter. A supervoid doesn't fit into our current models of the cosmos, and scientists often describe it with the word unthinkable. But it's not completely nothing. A few lonely galaxies drift inside, which is somehow even more sinister than total emptiness. The edges of the void aren't smooth. They have temperature shifts and subtle changes that hint at some invisible forces. Even light seems to get distorted there, making these regions super eerie. But the worst part is that some supervoids can impact us. For example, something strange is moving our galaxy through space at about 1.2 million miles per hour. In front of us, a massive cluster of galaxies, called the Shapley concentration, 650 million light-years away, is pulling us toward it. And behind us, scientists discovered a nearly empty region of space with almost no galaxies. They call this supervoid the dipole repeller, and it's shoving the Milky Way with incredible force. But it's probably better than being propelled toward a black hole. Black holes are some of the universe's most ruthless objects. They can swallow asteroids, comets, planets, and even stars. Almost every black hole starts its life as a massive star. Then it runs out of fuel, it collapses in on itself, and packs more mass into a tiny space than you can imagine. That's why its gravity is so insane even light can't escape. A lot of people picture black holes as giant cosmic vacuums, pulling up everything around them. But that's a myth. Black holes can only pull in stuff that gets super close, crossing what's called the event horizon, a point of no return. For a black hole with the mass of our Sun, that boundary is just about 2 miles across. And for a black hole as small as Earth, the event horizon would be just a couple of inches wide. Still, their gravity is powerful enough to influence stars and planets nearby. And now, we're finally ready to speak about the ultimate nightmare the human brain simply can't comprehend: the sheer size of the universe. Imagine this. You're sitting in your room. That room is inside your house. Your house is on Earth. Earth is part of our solar system, which has 8 planets. And that solar system is just one tiny neighborhood inside the Milky Way galaxy, home to at least 100 billion other planets. Now, it is getting wilder. The Milky Way is just one galaxy in a local group with few others. That group sits inside the Virgo supercluster, which contains hundreds of galaxies. And all of that is just a small part of the observable universe, which stretches about 93 billion light-years across. And that's only what we can see with our current tech. We have no idea how much bigger the universe actually is, or if it even has an end. Think about that. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.